All the primates, both large and small, differ by some innate perkiness and self-confidence. They seem not to care about an enemy, even be it a tiger. At the same time, it's not obligatory to be a powerful gorilla to give a lesson to a striped cat. Look at a tiger hunting for a monkey on a tree. It sits on the very edge, holds itself, but there's nowhere to retreat. Only thing left to do is for the tiger to approach. With each second, it always moves closer. Standing within touching distance, it tries to save itself. Anyway, it turned out that it was a special tactic, not any cowardice. It understands that a tiger is heavy, but the twig is fragile. The cat found itself in the trap. Soon the monkey jumps away. The tiger starts losing its balance, hanging and falling down. It's curious that it made itself comfortable according to what was anticipated. Tigers are not that powerful as we considered earlier. This time a white tiger wished to pounce upon a goose. Anyway, to prevent that, the goose ran towards it. That frightened the predator. Of course, it was unexpectedly, so anyone would run behind. In its turn, the tiger did it for the second time and the goose chased it away once more. That was the wrong competitor. If you watch the cartoon Kung Fu Panda, you're sure to remember the tiger or the crane. Each animal posed its own battle style. What style do you think is better, that of a crane or a tiger? I suppose as soon as I watch this video, I'll support the crane. Just have a look at this kung fu wrestler. The tiger stood on the corner, whereas the crane continued flying towards, chasing them away. The tigers didn't move, but not that long. Very soon they started to chase away that feathered creature, whereas the one flew away from it. After landing down, it stretches its wings. Big cats are afraid of approaching the competitor. If they dare to approach, the crane starts blowing them with its wings. That's a real master of kung fu. What's happening to other big cats? With jaguars, for example. They're considered as very dangerous animals in South America. They hunt perfectly. Their diet includes more than 80 animals. Even the caimans are among them. It happens that the jaguars finish them off without any problems. The caiman, in its turn, went beyond the jaguar's capacities. Did you check the way the caiman threw the jaguar away as if he were a toy? He didn't come across any difficulties. Okay, the caiman hunting didn't have any success. Was it possible for the anteater to succumb to the jaguar? After all, these predators were hunting them. This is an example. The jaguar found a giant anteater. The animal understood everything and started to defend itself. The jaguar wanted to do everything it wanted and win the anteater, not with its power, but intelligence. It was going around in circles for several minutes, thinking from what part to attack it and where to strike a blow. Anyway, the anteater didn't let him do it. The anteater did not give any chance for the cat to attack it. The jaguar got tired and left. The jaguar was out of luck. Yes, it's true, giant anteaters may look kind of clumsy, differing by their power. They have big and sharp claws. However, a blow is enough to finish the jaguar, and not only. Antelopes are also not that simple as they seem to be. If it's necessary, they'll be able to show response and surprise everybody. Conflict disengaged in the zoo. 3 rhinos had squabbles with an antelope and decided to teach it a lesson. However, at the end, it did that. Check out its courage and offensive. The antelope was not afraid that the rhinos were much heavier than her, aggressive and with a heavy horn. A sharp horn is designed to chase away the rhinos, turn its head around and not let them approach, pressing the giants. One rhino was so shocked that it left the field. The antelope, of course, did a good job, but she was far away from the cats. After all, they didn't have to touch the competitor. They mastered the technique of a contactless battle. Look at this fluffy guru. It'll show what it costs. The cow's pushing him with sheer bad intentions, but the cat plows with its paw against the air, and the cow falls off. Something like the Indian films. It was epic. Here's another cow. Actually, several cows. However, exactly this one is of special interest. This black and white cow. It threw down the glove to the goat to face it against its head and looked at who would be steadier. The goat seemed to have no chances. After all, it was smaller, but you see, they collide, and a perky head goes to the knockout. The goat doesn't care about that. Don't worry, the cow came to itself quickly after the shock. The polar bear is the only one nobody would like to have to do with. Even huge seals hope that the bear goes by and won't hunt them. What can we tell them about some dogs? However, a husky is not afraid of even a polar bear. As far as that starts moving, the dog loses its temper, barks loudly, and gives to the predator something like breams aided by its muzzle. It's clear to see that the giant was totally confused of such situation. Sometimes even the dogs by themselves depreciate their competitors. For example, the dog decided to tire the marmot, peacefully sleeping behind the fence and not putting off anybody. In the beginning, the dog was just barking out loudly and approached the marmot closely. As it tried to attack, it had a blow right to the nose. The marmots are rodents with powerful teeth. That means that a dog learned a painful but meaningful lesson for its whole life. Do you know who else learned an important and useful lesson? This dog did. No, that wasn't the case that it ended up in the pit with the tooth cleaners or something of this kind. The dog simply scratched itself against the porcupine, and the spiky rodent gave it several needles as a present so that it doesn't forget about their meeting. As the video author and the dog owner told, the pet received more than 100 needles. That wasn't pleasant. But everything's all right. The veterinarians extracted them correctly, and the dog recovered quickly. Now it knows that porcupines are dangerous and we need to keep away from them. Oh, it would tell to this young leopard. The predator doesn't understand how many problems that spiky bush can bring. Okay, the cat understood everything by itself. It realized that it was beyond its capacities to harm the porcupine. All went without any pricks. Will it go away in this case? The leopard's in front of us. It's adult, meaning intelligence. Anyway, its experience and age mean nothing when you're a curious cat by heart. The leopard can see that porcupines have huge and steady needles and understands that it's very difficult to win over such opponents. Anyway, it's still looking for vulnerable places. One of the porcupines got tired of that and decided to needle the predator. Not that strongly, just to make it get away. The giraffe had the same thought as well. I'm telling the animal wanted that boresome being to leave it alone. The giraffes like the feeling of comfort. They feel good there at their height. They just want to enjoy their life. And here you can see some zebras under their feet. It wasn't clear what they wanted, either to play with the giant or fight against it. At first, the giraffe was suffering, but in reality, it gave a blow to a striped animal with its neck. At last, the animal understood everything and ran to its counterpart, possibly to claim. It's interesting that the giraffe decided to give a blow to the zebra with its neck. After all, it hits only other giraffes when they battle against each other. The giant wields its hooves, fighting against the smaller ones. So this case became unique to some extent. We come back to big cats. As the dog wanted from the donkey, but it was not worth approaching it. Anyway, it wasn't that she got it, but its counterpart who just came in hot blood. Possibly the donkey didn't understand that another dog wanted to attack it. Okay, that was a dog. Donkeys, in their turn, were ready to give a response to the hyenas. Look at it, the way the donkey teaches the hyena how to behave itself. After such an unpleasant lesson, that one will stop thinking of getting in touch with it. The same concerns the hyena. It was moving around the donkey as if trying to bite it to the side. But that one could not bear that and mauled the predator. The donkeys are powerful animals with strong bites. That's why it's not worth joking with them. They can maul anyone. Did you forget that the donkeys can cope even with dragons? Do you remember that polar bear from the beginning of this edition? The husky was lucky that it was not a female with its cubs. After all, everybody knows that if you meet a female bear with its cubs, it's better not to approach it. Although there are cheeky fellows that tend to take their cubs away. You'll learn it later. Protector rabbit. This video was pretty sad from the beginning. A hungry snake snuck right up to where the little bunnies were resting and clearly got its eye on them. The reptile began to strangle the poor fluffy animal slowly, when suddenly, like a superhero, the main rabbit burst into the party. It quickly brought order, shook the snake, and helped its baby. The snake realized that resisting the furious mother was a bad idea since it was ready to die for its babies. The snake made the decision to retreat, but it didn't succeed so easily. The rabbit was bringing the snake back as if to say, wait, we're not done yet. Nevertheless, the snake still managed to get out from under the onslaught of the fluffy creature, and something tells me that no one else will see it in this place. Judging from the previous in this video, snakes are very fond of attacking animal dens while the older members of the family are not there. So here the snake decided to attack the bird's nest. It somehow magically climbed up the tree, almost at right angles, and devoured the defenseless eggs. The feathered creature had only been away for a few minutes to do its household chores. Imagine how sad it was when it came home. It probably brought some goodies for its future babies, but there was no one there. Don't rush to think that snakes like to hunt only weak opponents. That's exactly what they cannot be blamed for. These creeping creatures can choose absolutely any creature as their opponent. It's not uncommon for them to fight with lions or tigers. And in this video, the snake was not afraid of the giant leopard. The mother cat was kinda nearby, guarding its cubs, but the giant python clearly didn't care. It was sure that if the older leopard attacked it would also grab it. Therefore, the python calmly crawled past the leopard and got to its cubs. The adult cat was literally dumbfounded by what happened. Right in front of its eyes, the python ate the baby and crawled back out, and there wasn't anything the leopard could do about it. In the next video, things were much rosier, even though someone was still claiming other animals' babies. First, we're shown a lioness that carefully carries the cubs from one place to another. There are several cubs there, so it has to make several trips. Just look at how cute they are. They're so tiny, just like domestic kittens, soft, fluffy, and tender. It's beautiful. No wonder that as soon as the lioness left one of them unattended, it was immediately picked up by a passing leopard and dragged on a tree so that no one would find it. And you know, surprisingly, for some reason, the little lion cub didn't fight back at all. It could have screamed, called its relatives for help, but it didn't seem to care. It's lucky that at least none of them eat other animals' babies, as was the case with the snakes. They just steal the newborns and raise them themselves. It's unknown why they do it, but this is wild nature and everyone has to put up with it. By the way, sometimes other creatures also steal small wild cats. For example, baboons. I have no idea why they would take care of a growing predator. Doesn't it work so that the lion grows up and eats its illegitimate parents? Or am I misunderstanding something? Write in the comments. Either way, the baboons know better in this regard. Here's one of them stealing a little lion cub while its parents were distracted by something. It dragged the baby on a tree and waited until the predator calmed down, stopped searching, and allowed them to continue their carefree life. Do you think this behavior is the norm? Or can animals also have some mental problems just like humans? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Surilis practice. Surilis are a genus of small monkeys that mainly live in India. The name is translated from Hindi as long-tailed, which fully characterizes the appearance of the creature. In many Indian villages, these creatures are attributed divine characteristics. The inhabitants revere them. Many of these primates live in the territory of cathedrals and churches and therefore are called temple monkeys. By nature, they're quite friendly and do not attack humans, only if a human doesn't wish them harm and does not trespass on their territory, of course. But that's not what interests us today. The thing about Surilis is that the number of males is always lower than the number of females, which means that the care of the offspring falls on the shoulder of the females. It's very important not to make simple and silly mistakes and to ensure that the baby has a healthy life and unhindered growth. But what if a Surili didn't have babies before? Well, that's apparently the question the female in our video asked itself. In order to practice on someone before its baby was born, it stole someone else's baby. And it's not a lion cub, a tiger cub, or some bird. It's more interesting than that. For the first few days, the baby is cared for by 5 to 8 unrelated females. In many groups, there's a rule. After the birth, the mother examines, sniffs, and licks the baby, and then passes it to another female. It does the same. If the baby stays calm, it means it has accepted the babysitter. If not, the female passes it to the next female. In fact, the baby chooses its own protectors. But there are groups where this unspoken law doesn't work, and the babysitters steal the baby from its mother. Who would have thought that sharing babies with any animals would be a normal thing? What do you think about this? Are animals doing the right thing, or should they count on the maternal instinct that comes with the birth of the baby and not take it away from a birth mother? Unusual rules of dolphins. I suggest we move for a while from the familiar land, underwater, to a place where, as it turns out, completely different principles, rules, and laws apply. Have you ever tried to find out how baby dolphins watch their mothers, distinguish one from another and stuff? Well, it turns out they do it instinctively. As dolphins move from one point to another, the baby sticks close to its mother and doesn't lag a foot behind her. However, if someone else appears near the baby and swims at high speed, the baby, without realizing it, will follow it. Simply put, the baby swims after the dolphin nearby, thinking that it's its real mother. Using this knowledge, the mother and the baby in this video covered quite a long distance. All seemed to be well, but in an instant, some stranger swam by at high speed. The young dolphin mistook the stranger for its birth mother and followed it. Realizing that it was losing the baby, the mother accelerated and engaged in a fight with the insolent congener. This is one of the few moments when dolphins can be aggressive toward each other. Don't worry, the mother managed to fight back and continued the journey with its baby in complete peace and safety. But it all looked rather tense. Let's feed the babies in turn. That must have been what the Alaskan Malamute said to its neighbor dog, because there's no other way to explain its behavior. A couple of months ago, the owners of the house took the dog in. Previous owners were going to sell it, but new owners didn't allow this mistake to be made. They took the caring and kind dog and gave it a warm home. In the past, the Alaskan Malamute had one baby, and apparently, since they were separated, it no longer had enough outgoing care for anyone. And then, coincidentally, the neighbor turned out to have an extremely large number of puppies. So the Alaskan Malamute began to drag them away with it, lick and take care of the babies as if it were its own puppies. Even when the real mom had already finished feeding the babies with milk, the Alaskan Malamute still came to this very place and repeated the process, gathering the babies around itself. I wonder, when the babies grow up, will they start resisting their non-native mother? Or do they not care which dog raises them? And will they get the benefits of both mothers? Love over hunger. I would give the following story such a beautiful title because it will surprise you anyway. In one of Kenya's nature reserves, a large lioness proved to people that in such a powerful body, somewhere inside there's a subtle, kind, and caring nature hidden. The predator became attached to the baby antelope, just as a mother is attached to her own baby. The lioness and the antelope stayed together for 15 days, being in each other's company and suffering from starvation at the same time. Obeying its instincts, the baby antelope tried to chew leaves that its body was unable to digest. After all, for several months, its menu must consist of only fatty mother's milk. The big cat, on the other hand, was also within certain limits. It was afraid to go hunting because it couldn't leave the antelope unattended. What is this if not a true display of love and positive qualities? Yes, the lioness was lucky that it didn't live in the same habitat as the penguins, because these cunning creatures would kidnap its antelope for sure. These cute creatures have it pretty simple. Instead of calling a male and conceiving a baby, the female penguin decides to act differently. It goes in search of some other penguin's baby to simply kidnap it. Then it takes the newly acquired baby to its nest and raises it as its own. Don't worry, the process doesn't last long. Soon enough, interest is lost, and the false mother is ready to give the kidnapped baby back. Actually, it doesn't give it back, it just leaves it somewhere far away from its nest. Needless to say that such a penguin doesn't have many chances for a further happy life. What of these incidents surprised you the most? Leave your comments. Even more incredible moments with animals are awaiting you further. Leopard versus python. The leopard is a very skilled and determined predator that shows both the necessary caution and courage. In this video, people filmed the leopard spotting a python lying on the ground. Being an honest and well-mannered fighter, it didn't attack it from behind, but first approached and showed itself to the python from the front. Being aware of all the danger, the big cat decided to grab the snake by its tail and clawed the python as hard as it could. No matter how you look at it, it's not every day you find such a tasty sausage on the road. 4 paws with razor-sharp claws, powerful jaws, and 2-inch-long fangs, agility, and speed combined with innate feline reflexes, it might seem that the python has no chance of survival. But it's not the case. What's more, the python could have even fought back against the leopard if it wanted to, but it clearly had no such plans that day. The python simply waited for the right moment, slipped out of the cat's grasp, and hid from it in the water. The creeping creature was probably aware that it had already expended a lot of energy, and there was no way it could win this battle. And here it seems is the continuation of the battle, the second part of that fight between the leopard and python. Of course, these are all jokes and these are two completely different creatures, but the battle between them was serious. The big cat decided to try its luck and attack this very large python resting in the sun and possibly digesting some rather big prey. The leopard decided to exhaust the creeping creature using its high speed and unreal agility, but the python quickly hit back. It caught it in a grip and almost killed the big cat on the spot. Fortunately for the leopard, it still managed to get out of this chokehold. It's unknown how this battle ended, but the leopard was not going to retreat at all. It was evident from its behavior. I think it was confident in its abilities and won. What do you think? Write in the comments. Not really understanding animals and seeing this video for the first time, it may seem that some deer or other large creatures are fighting here. But in fact, there's a battle between 2 antelopes, the very creatures that every second person associates with easy prey and helplessness. However, when you look at their fight and how they wield these horns, a slightly opposite feeling begins to develop. These are not quite ordinary antelopes. These are representatives of the greater kudu species. The majestic antelope can reach almost 5 feet in height with a body length of 7.2 feet and a weight of 550 pounds. Here's an interesting fact. Kudu males, as befits all other males on our planet, compete for a female. They dance a kind of ritual dance, showing each other all their might. But sometimes the dance turns into a fierce battle. Moreover, this battle, from which it would seem everyone should come out safe and sound, often ends sadly for both of its participants. They can intertwine their horns and die. Now, think about whether it's better to be an antelope with such life-threatening horns or an antelope that runs fast but doesn't have this nuance on its head. Lion tense situation. Things are no less tense for the lions. It would be strange if everything turned out differently, right? One of the tourists filmed the male walking around the female, but it clearly didn't like something. Either they had a fight or just a male pestered an unfamiliar individual. In any case, attempts to impress the female and stay together proved futile. The female fooled the male and found the right moment to get out of there. It seems that the king of the jungle has already rushed after it, but then, out of the corner of its eye, it noticed a rival. The second lion, waiting from the side, decided to take advantage of the moment and intercept the female, for which it was punished by the leader. It was lucky that this battle didn't end badly for both males, although it seemed that everything would be much more serious. They raised a lot of dust, though. That's all, guys. Which battle impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you later.